Hi YouTube, it's Maida. I realize I haven't been on YouTube in a while, and it's because I've been focusing all of my attention on my one-shot story called My Love Story, which is featured on TAPAS.io, formerly known as TAPAS.com. The last update just came out today, and in honor of its ending, I am showing some of the major changes, some of the major artistic changes I made between the original sketches 5 years ago and the final pages that I published online. So the changes don't actually start happening until I get later into the comic, because some of the first pages did come out maybe 3 years ago when I wanted to start publishing it. So right now I'm on page 31, and I have both the original sketch and the final draft side by side, so we can take a look at that. And I'm just going to zoom in because the part that changed the most were these central panels. So as you can see, this is the scene where Jake admits that he likes Mia too. And originally what I had in mind was to flesh out his character a little bit, just to briefly go through what I imagine Jake to be like. I wrote these 3 panels talking about why he thinks he isn't good enough for Mia. And as I went into the final draft, I realized I really, that seemed extraneous to me. And also because the character that he was based off in real life, he would not say anything like this. So on this page, he's listing off the reasons why he thinks he basically isn't worthy of Mia. And as I thought about his character, it was kind of like it didn't fit. So I cut all that out and decided to leave Jake's personality basically ambiguous. It's up to the reader to decide what he's like, because he really doesn't have much of a personality since the story is so short. So I cut out, obviously you can see that these three panels do not exist in the final draft. So the next page we're going into is page 55, which is the scene, part of the scene where Mia is watching her play, watching the play that she wrote, or the play that was adapted from the story that Jake wrote, or the story that Mia wrote. Yeah, there's just a small difference between the facial expressions here, just because it's like she looks so sad admitting that she liked him in this panel. And I thought, you know, when I told the person that I liked him, I was smiling nervously because, I don't know, it felt like good to get off of my chest, even if he did wind up not liking me. So I just changed it to a little smile over here. Just zoom in so you can see that a little more. Desperation versus nervousness, I guess. And then in this bottom panel, which is the main reason that I chose to show these 2 pages side by side, I really wasn't working with a lot of different angles in the first drawings, the paper drawings of this, the pencil drawings, mainly because I don't know, I didn't want to try, I guess. The story was already a huge project to me, so I was taking shortcuts wherever I could. So we can see here, I did want their running away to reflect each other in the initial stages. But as I went to redo that, I realized it's pretty unrealistic to have her try and bolt out of the theater. I realized that thinking about what Mia's more like, she'd rather just walk or stomp out of there pretty angrily. Just a simple walk so as not to draw too much attention to herself. Where in this case, if she bolted out, like, the whole audience would be like, what? And yeah, so we have a downward viewing angle so we can see more of these two characters as well, because I wanted the focus to be on the play. And yeah, that's it. We also get a better view of some of the audience, and the teacher here in the background, who's featured in the next page. A little bit more of a background, so more of an environment for the viewer to participate in. Right here we have page 61, which is the scene where basically the last scene of the play. And as I was saying on the previous one, there are a lot of things I didn't try just because the project was a lot longer and I was less experienced then. So you'll notice a lot more like heavy close-ups on this page, and not, I mean, you see a little bit of interaction between the couple, but not a lot. And I thought, you know, they're a couple, they need to be closer, they need to be more affectionate. So yeah, so I pulled out a little bit here so that you could see both of their expressions. And I did change some of the lines just to I don't know, just to further like separate how this character feels from the main character in the play. To make it like even more clear that, hey, you know, he didn't like her and he never recognized her as someone that he did like. Yeah, and yeah, you know, I wanted to picture them holding each other. And just between this picture and this one, I wanted them to actually look like they were exiting the stage. Yeah, that's basically it. Also, like, this looked really awkward. It was supposed to be him, like, holding her hand, which is right here. And just the way I drew it out, that wasn't really clear. And that's why I chose to reimagine this scene so that there was more interaction, more contact between these two. So this is page 70, and as you can tell, there are a lot of differences in the upper half of the page. Starting with the speech bubble. In the pencil drawing, I really didn't like how Jake's confession right here isn't really emphasized enough, since these three panels come immediately after. So in the newer page, I left the speech bubble alone so that it would have more impact. I also changed the narrator's expression in this panel so that it was a different sort of shock than the three faces over here. And then in this window, or in this panel, and then in this panel, and in this panel I changed the angle and also the distance between the characters, because as you can see in the pencil drawing page, the distance is really exaggerated here. I wanted to close that gap in the newer version because the narrator is maybe like 10 feet away, maybe a little bit further than that. But this just seemed like a more dynamic angle to me, so it focused on the narrator. And having the couple close up like this, to me felt like a nice contrast as we zoomed out to show more of them in this panel, and then the full body in this panel. And then from the panels on the lower left on both pages, I did change Mia's expression a little bit. Instead of facing Jake and looking up at him, she's looking away. And I just thought that was a better reaction than her looking directly up at him. Because then we can see in the next panel, when he makes when he tries to explain further what he means, then Mia looks up at him. And I just thought that was a much better line of action than from this panel to this panel, where Jake is just staring and not doing anything, versus in this panel where he looks a little flustered with his hand over his face. Overall, I think the part that was most improved about this page was just the layout itself, because this right here was just sloppy with how the layout was. Let me just show the original file. Revert. Like, it's just so sloppy on the pencil side than the newer side. So this I would say is my biggest improvement in terms of pages. Okay, so this is page 72, which is right after we realize that stuff about the whole last day of school was a dream. So you can see here it is June 7th. Again, because today, this is the start of the real June 7th. So again, interaction, this time not necessarily with another person, but with the background. I changed these two panels right here. Well, 4 panels. I changed these 4 panels. This one was really static, where Mia is already awake and she just looks kind of dreary. To match the fact that she is just woken up by a weird dream, I drew her so that it looked like she was just getting up just suddenly getting up from out of her dream. And then in the last, this lower panel right here, just to make it more consistent with the layout of her bedroom from earlier pages, I decided to add the clock and calendar above her head. And then we could keep this similar pose so it looks more like she's moving. So from waking up immediately to turning to the clock, there's more movement there than between these two panels, which kind of just look like stills. And then these two big panels right here, I changed it for good reason. Again, I wanted to incorporate more of an environment into Mia's world. There wasn't really a lot of room here also to just add one in. I also didn't like just honestly how this pose looked in general. So I just reworked that so that she was facing forward and her head was turned instead to shout out goodbye to her mom. And then this way we actually get a view not only of the exterior of her house, but the interior of the house. Again, for the audience to have a better idea of what her world is like. Also, you can see that I changed the skirt, and I added a little cardigan top thing here to match more with the outfit in her dream. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting. Let me know in the comments which changes you liked best and which ones you thought might have been unnecessary. That's all I have for now. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.